Hello and welcome to Recipe for the Day from www.kitchennewbie.com, and today we are making
a roasted vegetable bake.
You can get this recipe on www.kitchennewbie.com, and whilst you're there, why don't you have a look at all of our other recipes and all the different techniques and ideas and fun things as well as tasty things to do in the kitchen. So, roasted vegetable bake.
Yes, now this is one of those dishes that I'm going to give you a variation at the end to change it completely.
So that's two dishes.
So you get, change it completely isn't quite the word. What I'm saying
So
is
you was exaggerating.
I'm going to say, you can use pasta in it. So I'll give you the recipe for the pasta. And you can also use some new potatoes, which we'll talk about later on. Now, basically, you'll need a red and a yellow pepper, a large
capsicum, bell pepper.
A large red onion, 2 medium courgettes, 100 grams of mushrooms that are going to be halved, half a largish aubergine. You don't need a full one, and you need that cubed into quite biggish pieces, and then 10 cherry tomatoes. Now, all this is going to be your roasted veg part. So cut your yellow I usually cut them into probably 6 to 8 pieces, depending on how big the peppers are. And because you want them quite chunky, but you don't want them too big. If you know what I mean. And your courgettes in I tend to go cut it in half and then cut it into chunks. So you haven't got all skin basically on one piece. So that's your basic veg. And then I tend to just pop them into a roasting pan and sprinkle over 3 to 4 tablespoons of vegetable oil of your choice. Sprinkle a bit of salt and pepper and half a teaspoon of fresh thyme leaves over the top. Half a teaspoon, did I say? No, a full teaspoon of fresh thyme.
Be generous with your thyme.
Be generous with your thyme, because it's going to be a nice herby flavoured dish, this anyway. And then pop those in the oven at 190 degrees, gas mark 5, 375 Fahrenheit, for about 20 to 25 minutes. You want some colour on them all. Now, the things that will probably go last are your mushrooms, because they give out liquid before they start going brown. But don't worry too much if they're not very brown. So long as everything else has got a bit of colour on, your mushrooms will be beautifully flavoured. Now, if you wish, you can add a couple of garlic cloves to that as well. But there'll be garlic in the sauce. So while that's doing its job...
How long does it take to roast, did you say?
About 20 to 25 minutes. So long as your oven is up to temperature.
Yeah.
If you put your oven on, which is sometimes what I do...
And then you warm it up, it's going to take 10 minutes
it'll
to warm
take
up, isn't it?
it'll certainly take 5 minutes. So give it 25 minutes or so to 30 minutes. 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how hot it is when you put it in. Then you will need, for the sauce, you'll need 500 ml of passata. It's very easy, really, this. Half a teaspoon of dried oregano, a tablespoon of fresh parsley, and then 2 chopped, grated, crushed garlic cloves, whatever you do. And then just, no oil, because you've got oil still amongst your vegetables. And just pop that into a saucepan and heat it to a simmer. And then just let it simmer for 5 minutes or so, or... until probably by that time your veg will be ready. And then once your veg is ready, just scrape it off your roasting pan into the sauce and then let your sauce simmer for another 10 minutes. Yeah. So your tomato and your flavoured things are all going nice and tasty. Now then, while that's working, cook 350 to 400 grams of pasta. I say 350 to 400, depends how hungry you are. Because I generally say for 4 people,
this is for
400 grams of pasta. But if it's for children, if you've got 2 young children and then 2 adults, probably 350.
Yes, but if you think back about our children, they'd have eaten 100 grams easily.
And then just cook it as your pasta packet says. And use shapes for this rather than tagliatelle, and it's a pasta bake type
like conchi
thing.
or spirals or whatever they're called.
Conchigli or...
What are the spirals called?
Spirale.
Spirale.
I think.
Well, they are now.
Fusilli.
Fusili.
No, that sounds like a painter.
Anyway, the shapes.
Yes, your shapes. And then once it's cooked, drain it, but pop it back into the pan and then stir all your sauce into your pasta so it's well mixed in. And then pour it in to whatever you use for your lasagnas and your roasting vegetables.
Could you use back in the same pan?
I was just going to say you can pop it back into your roasting pan that you've just used for your vegetables.
Because you'll end up with some really nice bits, won't you?
Of course you will. Oh, lovely tastes, especially if you put a couple of garlic cloves in there. And I know you love those kind of garlic. Now, a lot of people don't, when they're roasting garlic, don't take that outer thing off.
Yeah, the skin
I
off.
don't like that.
Yeah.
Because that sticks in my teeth. I always take it down to the actual clove.
Well, when you actually use that, you're supposed to go...
Yeah,
pop,
I know, but I don't like
faffing
with it. I really don't. I like it all to be... And if you do that, you see, you can put it straight in your sauce and you'll have whole cloves of very tasty garlic.
I'm sure you will.
Won't make you feel, oh, that's so strong. It won't.
No, it's not. It's only strong once it's been bashed.
Simmered. Yeah. Now then, for your topping, a nice easy topping. This goes for lasagna if you fancy not bothering with a bechamel sauce.
You could put lasagna sheets in it, couldn't you, if you needed to?
You could do, really, and make it into a lasagna, you could.
Easily.
Now, combine 300 grams of creme fraiche with 150 grams of grated cheddar. And then just spoon that, once you've combined it all together, just spoon that, dot it over the top of your pasta bake, and spread it out a little bit. Because remember, that'll be warm, so it'll be melting. It will,
anyway.
And then grate about 50 to 60 grams of parmesan, or more cheddar if you wish, red Leicester, over the top of that. But the secret is to chop up about 4 or 5 pieces of sun-dried tomato and just dot that over the top so that every portion gets a generous amount. And what will happen is you'll get that roasted taste, that crispy, sweet, gorgeous tomato, sun-dried tomato
and the
flavour
oil off it will go...
It'll be beautiful. So
did you like that?
I do like it. And then you can pop that in the oven, again on 190 degrees, and then leave it for about 15 to 20 minutes until you've got that colour coming on the top. And everything will be all warm because you're doing it straight from scratch. Now, you can make the roasted vegetables and the sauce earlier and then put it all together, but it will take about 30 to 40 minutes to heat through.
I was just thinking you could put other things in there, like you could put a handful of olives in.
You can put, if
really
you chop
nice.
your olive, of course you can. And the other thing you can do is this, I was saying about 350 to 400 grams of cooked small new potatoes instead of pasta. Cook them, pop them in the sauce and do it that way.
Yeah.
And that's a lovely change from everything, from pasta, rice, and it makes your potatoes taste gorgeous because you're going to cook them in that tomato sauce.
And there isn't a drop of meat at all
no
to be
meat,
seen.
No fish. It's all unctuous, gorgeous vegetables.
Now, if you wanted to add something like fish or meat to it, what would you use?
Well, you can do lots of things. If you want to make it even sort of a variation on the theme again, is when you're roasting your veg, chop some chorizo up.
Yeah.
I'd use probably, if it's one of those rings, the sausages that are joined up, use about,
6 inches?
Yeah, about
20 centimetres?
About 20 centimetres.
Yeah.
Cut up into cubes and roast that because it'll give a lovely,
really
gorgeous.
Yeah.
And the other thing you can do is when you're making your sauce, chop up a couple of rashers of bacon. Yeah. Good thick bacon, 3 or 4 rashers. And fry that in the saucepan gently in a tiny bit of oil. And then add your passata.
You could.
And your other things that you're making for the sauce.
You could make some homemade, I'm getting really into this now. You could make some homemade Italian skinless sausages.
Yeah, you could.
Which with basically 500 grams of pork and a dessert spoonful of fennel seeds, a couple of cloves of garlic, an egg and salt and pepper, Mix it all together, roll it out on a floured board so that it's all floury and nice. The egg will hold it together,
Yeah.
and you just chop it up, and you could lay it on the surface.
You could, and then
That'd be really neat.
yeah, and you could also use, you know, when we make a sausage casserole.
Yeah,
You could put a couple of sausages in as well into your sauce. Again, fry them off first,
yeah,
and then simmer them in the sauce. And that is a little bit like a basis of a sausage casserole.
yeah.
But you see, the glorious thing is that you don't need many sausages.
No.
You don't need much bacon or much chorizo to make a difference.
I'm very happy to have it with no meat in it
Of
at all.
course, so am I. And the other thing you can do is you can vary. Instead of creme fraiche, you could put ricotta.
Yeah,
Or a combination of ricotta and a bit of... you see, ricotta is much thicker than creme
Yeah.
fraiche. So if you want to, you can stir in a bit of milk just to loosen it, and then add your grated cheese to that. And the other thing you can use is plain yoghurt. You know, the thick Greek-style, creamy, whole milk, the full-fat one, not the... because that just goes to water. And you don't want that on the top of your...
Now, the one thing that we haven't
pasta
mentioned that some people might want to use is the B word, basil.
Oh, I never mention it. I do apologise. It's because I don't cook with it because I can't stand the smell.
But a little bit of oregano
The
would be
taste.
all right for you, wouldn't it?
Well, I used oregano in the sauce.
Oh, did you? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, you weren't
I
listening.
wasn't listening.
You were mesmerised.
I was mesmerised.
By me, weren't you?
No, I was thinking
Oh,
about the
right.
sauce.
Yes, you put half a teaspoon of dried oregano,
yeah.
or a bit more if you
But,
want.
I mean, if you
put
wanted,
basil in.
you could put basil leaves on
Yeah,
the top
put some,
and just leave
put
it
some
to
basil leaves in your
wilt
tomato.
down, and it would
You
be...
see, with not personally cooking with basil,
Yeah.
I don't know quantities of its use, and so people would have to go with what their taste is, because you can get dried basil, and you can get the leaves. Now the leaves, I don't mind quite as much if I come across a basil,
Yeah.
leaf.
A basilisk.
I sooner come across a basilisk, I think. It's just one of those flavours. You see, there's only two flavours like that I feel like that about.
One's basil, and the other one, let me guess, is lemongrass.
Lemongrass, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't stand that.
It's because it's got a soapiness about
I think,
it, isn't it?
and basil has a
Yeah.
fragrance to it. Which, I like fragrant foods,
yeah.
but there's just something about those two that I'm not very keen on.
But life's a big adventure.
It is for me because, one of
Experiment
these
away.
days, you never know, I might think, oh, I fancy cooking with basil.
Don't know who he is.
No, I know.
Thank you for listening to the Recipe for the Day podcast. We hope to see you sometime at www.kitchennewbie.com. Kitchen Newbie is a kind of online cookery school which hopes to help people new to cooking, and you will find lots of easy recipes and techniques. So, why not pop down and have a look? We're new, there's lots to do, but we'd love to see you just the same.